today's edition, we're having our own born and bred Zambian, now based in Australia, is in the country, trying to find out if you Zambians can accept or maybe listen to his music, but I feel like he's a legend. He did a couple of things before going Kuchalo. He did some things. I was doing some research and some things that he has no idea I know about. But today, we are about to have a conversation with him. Harold Chala is our guest right here on Yatu Vibes. How are you doing?
I'm well, sir. I'm well. And thank you so much for having me here.
I hope my intro didn't scare you.
Yeah, well,
it was like a normal intro.
Well, it was quite an interesting one. I'm ready for this one. I'm ready. I'm prayed up and ready.
Yeah. How are you doing? How is everything going?
I'm well, man. Everything is going well. Very excited to be back home.
Yeah.
Love Zambia. This is the country of our birth. Everything all started for us from here.
Yeah.
And it's just great to be able to be out there, travel the world, and come back home and, kind of just reintroduce the music, reintroduce the brand, reintroduce, what it is that we're doing, to this whole brand new audience. I would say brand new because I haven't really been around, sort of promoting music on this end, for a while now. But I'm excited to be back home. Great to enjoy some good traditional food and, been going and hitting up a couple of traditional joints for some of that beautiful Zambian cuisine. So it's been a great time.
let's talk about, let's throw it back. Before you left to Australia.
Yes.
You was to do music.
Yes, I was.
And there's some songs that you did with a BJ.
Yes.
Ngosa,
back in
other
the days.
things. But let's talk about that story way back, how everything started initially and what made you to move from Zambia to Australia.
Yeah. Look, I'm originally from Livingstone, Zambia, and Livingstone is my hometown. So shout out Livingstone. I grew up there, did my high school there. I was part of started singing really in church. I was part of a church called Church of New Life for the Nations in Livingstone, singing in the choir, church boys. Got born again at, when I was in grade 7. So, kind of pretty much grew up in church, was singing in there, was passionate about music. And, we had an American pastor, black American, from Queens, New York, by the name of David Hart, came to Livingstone and formed a church called Church of New Life with his wife, Bishop Janet Hart, who runs the ministry now. And we began to sing there, but the influence of the singing was very American. So I would, listen to a lot of the Winans and commissioned and BB Winans and CC Winans. And so, the American influence was very big. And at the time, I think music was going down. There was a time when we had Till Records in Zambia, if you remember. So the big legends, the Pongozis and the Amayenges and all these were blowing up then, and then everything went into a deep, that was before the Mondo days. So we were singing, and I remember we used to do jingles for Radio 4, and I remember Innocent Kabwe was one of the guys that we first did jingles for. I remember doing a jingle, it's going down on Radio 4. It was pretty big back then. We were surviving on jingles. I remember Autoforce, I did an advert, a jingle once. Hello, why Muzivuta kuri Autoforce? You know what I mean? I'm the guy who did that.
It was a famous jingle, I remember.
Well, I did that. You know what I'm saying? So, so we could still do that, but my influence was really, I always had a passion to be able to fly the Zambian flag in the nations. I always knew that I was strongest at a different sound than the sound that was prevailing at the time, and then, did the jingles, they were received pretty well, did some adverts, they were received pretty well, but the music industry was really sort of non-existent. It was a time when, that was even before Mondo really came on. They were about to come on. Chisha Folotia, shout out Chisha Folotia for what he did for the industry. And then as Mondo was coming up, that's when I, left Zambia, and moved to South Africa. To go and pursue, because there were no record companies here, and I knew that there were markets that would understand an international sound, and that's why I think for me the definition is, I remember having a conversation with you on what makes somebody Zambian, what makes us Zambian, I say Jonathan Butler is flying the flag of South Africa, but yet he's still singing English songs, so what makes you Zambian, you know what I mean? So I think that's a conversation for another time, but so went there and then signed with Sony, and that's pretty much how my musical journey started, and I was now in an industry that was quite big. a lot more mature and advanced in a sense at the time. South Africa, where they would accept whether you're an R&B or hip hop or reggae or traditional, the market was mature enough to receive that. And thank God that our first album went double platinum and did extremely well.
It sounds super simple when you're explaining it, but let's talk about the signing of
Yes.
the Sony.
Yes.
Was it just a one try? Like
No.
you just tried it once, then everything
No.
went your way?
I have friends of mine who would testify to how the struggle was when I was in South Africa. I remember Roberto, who's big now.
Yeah.
You know, he actually wrote one of my biggest songs on my first album, a song called Hold On. You know, people didn't know that Roberto comes from way back. He's been pushing from back in the days.
Yeah.
I met Roberto in Johannesburg in South Africa. You're talking about 2001 or something. You know, he wasn't Roberto, he was just Robert then. You know what I mean? So I met him there, and I was hustling, pushing. For 1 year, I was in South Africa knocking every single door that you would think of, from BMG to CCP to Sony to Universal to wherever. It was very difficult to break through because the South African music industry is not an easy industry to break through. To get a record deal in South Africa is no walk in the park. That is why many are not signed, you know, from here. You know what I'm saying? So I remember that time getting there, man. Johannesburg, you know, it's rough. You get to the record companies and, you know, and they receive you and they said, oh, are you an artist? You say, yes, I have a demo. They said, oh, just put it in the box over there. You know, the CEOs will listen to it, man. You go to the box, and those days were cassette tapes.
Yeah.
You go to the box, man, there's like 20,000 in there. When are they ever going to listen to yours, man? Like, do they even ever listen to it? You know, so it was very, very tough. So after 1 year of pushing, man, I just thought to myself, man, it's either here or bust, man. I've been here in South Africa, knocking doors, hustling. You remember the struggles? I remember sometimes when you go for an audition, man, where, you know, even now, you know what I mean? So it's like, okay, you know, you're walking, man, you know, for an audition. You know, this guy says your audition is at 10 o'clock in the morning, 5 a.m. You know, polish your shoes and get ready. Sometimes you just wear sneakers and whatever, and you have like a bag and you walk maybe for 2.5 hours, man, to get to a place where you're gonna audition. And then before you get to that place, there's a shopping mall close by. Mangenacom bathroom there, you freshen up and stuff like that. You know, you spray. Those days we couldn't afford perfume, so you know, Playboy spray. You know what I mean? Blue Ice or something. Yeah. You know, all of, I don't know if they still sell that stuff. You know, so you know, you put on that and then you go and you audition like everything is okay. You know what I'm saying? Creflo Dollar says something that I like. He said, faith is simply, you know, fake it till you make it. You know, like you gotta be in that zone, in that place mentally, physically, emotionally before you make it. So you gotta see yourself there. So I would never present myself like I haven't had anything to eat. You know, like I haven't had, and it was just a hustle, man. We went as a group, 4 of us, and within 1 year, I was the only one remaining. You know, everybody had returned back. You know, I remember Mainza and Daddy Zimas went there. They hustled for like a year. Nothing happened. They all came back. You know, these are guys we used to meet over there. You know what I mean? So it was a huge, huge challenge. One day was my last day in South Africa. My days were finishing. No more money. Nothing to go, man. I was in a lodge somewhere, and that was my last day. So I said to myself, I'm just going to go to the home of the CEO for Sony. I said, I'm tired of dropping demos. I'm tired of dropping whatever. I'm tired of doing auditions. I'm tired of knocking doors. I will pick up everything I have. My little cassette tape had instrumentals. Man, I walked for 3 hours to his house and I just camped outside his gate, man. I said, I'm not going, man. So I sat there. The security guard is like, why are you here? I said, no, I need to see the boss. And he says, why do you want to see the boss? Do you have an appointment? I said, I don't have an appointment with the boss, but I just need to see the boss. Because it's my last day, man. You know, if that day collapse, I have to leave the country. You know, I'm illegal after that. You know, I left my bags at the lodge. That was my last day of paying for the lodge, so I had to find a place to stay. I had no money, man. So sat there, you know, and I do remember, you know, the guard coming out, and he says, do you have an appointment? I said, boss, I don't have. And he says, but what do you want? I said, I need to see the boss. He says, well, drop the demo at the office at Sony. I said, it's 2 hours away. I don't have any bus fare to go there. And in any case, I want to personally see him, you know. And around 9 o'clock, he drove out. He says, who's this guy? He says, boss, he says he needs to see you. The guy looks at me, And white guy says, what is it that you want? I said, sir, I just want to audition to just sing for you, sir. You know, and the guy says, no, man, I don't do this stuff. You're disturbing my home and my peace. You're not supposed to be here. You're trespassing, man. I'll call the cops on you, you know. Go, head back to Sony office. Drop your demo there. I'll listen to it. I said, sir, it's my last day in South Africa and my days are finishing. I need to audition for you, sir. The guy says, but I'm dropping my kids at school. The guy went, man, came back at 12. I was still there, man, sitting. He says, you are here again. I'll call the cops on you. You're irritating me, man. I said, boss, I just want to sing for you. If I just sing for you 5 minutes and you don't like what you hear, it's okay, you can get rid of me. The guy came, lunchtime, he had 2 o'clock, drove back, went to the office. He came 18 hours, man. I was still at his gate, man. Waiting. I said, I'm not leaving, man. I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving. Hey. This guy has to hear me sing. Let him tell me I'm whack or something. Then I'll be fine. You gotta do it. So it's not a walk in the park, you know. So I sat there, man. Around 19 hours, the guy says, I'm headed for an important meeting. It's a dinner gala of some sort. And he says, tells the security guard, he says, that guy is annoying me at the gate. Bring him inside. While I'm wearing my bow tie, he needs to sing. So the guy was wearing his bow tie. He says, I'm heading out now. I'm wearing my bow tie. Where's your demo? I said, sir, I have a little cassette tape with instrumentals. He went into the kitchen, man. He's wearing his tie there, and he says, sing, man. I put my little instrumental in the cassette player, Casanyo radio. So began singing, man, for the guy. Boom, first song. I think it was Universal Love, which ended up being the title track of the album. He says, you write these songs yourself? I said, yes, sir. He says, sing again another one. I said, sang another one. Then he says, I'm going to go and pick up my bag. Then he called the security guard and the maid. Maria! And he called the security guard. Sing for the security guard and sing for the maid. They will tell me what they think about you. And he went into the bedroom, man, and I began singing for the security guard, man, and the maid, you know, kicking for them like it's my last day on earth, man. I'm singing, and then he shouted, Maria, what does he sound like? Then I remember the maid says, boss, he sounds like an American. He sounds like an American, boss. He sounds like, then he says, okay. So you write those songs yourself? He says, yes. The guy goes, but man, you're annoying me. You're irritating me. I'm busy now. And he goes outside. So he had an office at the back, like a servant's quarter office at the back. And then while he's in there, about 15 minutes later, he just shouts to the maid. He says, Maria, make me 2 cups of coffee, one for me and one for that gentleman there, you know. So then she texts me, says, the boss is calling you. Then I went into his office and I sat down on a chair like this. And he just opened his drawer. He says, I only have 5 minutes to do this because I'm rushing. He says, boom, here's a record deal. Sign here and sign there and sign there and sign there.
Just like that?
Just like that, man. That's how I got signed.
I have issues with our local new artists. From the story that you're just from explaining, and they feel because nobody's giving them a chance, there are issues of feeling entitled, where you just want things to happen for you, just like you want them to happen. I want to get further from you, from that explanation where you have explained everything. What would be your words to them? And it sounds like you're just telling a story, like you're just a storyteller.
Oh, absolutely. But the reality is that nobody's going to give you a chance. You've got to create your own chance. You see, I could have simply said it's my last day. And the right thing to do would have been to pursue the same thing. But I had to fight for my opportunity. You know, I always say, somebody said, life doesn't hand you free things. You got to fight for the things that you believe, you know, are yours. One of the things that I love about God is even faith itself. The Bible says faith is the substance of things hoped for. So it means that what you're believing for is already there. But you got to walk and fight the fight of faith. You know what I'm saying? So you got to fight for what is already yours. Like it's not going to be handed for you. You know what I mean? It's like going into school. You know that there's an opportunity for you to graduate. So that certificate for graduation is already there. But you got to put in the work in order for you to get that. So that is why I say to myself, I'm going to go there. And I got there and, you know, after hustling for the whole day, 19 hours, I got a record deal and he asked me, where are you staying? I said, oh, in some place somewhere. And he calls a guy, Pierre. White guy comes in, boom, with a BMW, says, oh, this is your driver, Pierre, now.
Wow.
You know, Pierre, go and collect this young man. Take him to Markham's and go and meet Steve. Steve is the manager for Markham's. He says, Harold is going to be our new brand ambassador for all the clothes, Lee Jeans in Markham's. I get there, next minute, they book you by the Holiday Inn across the myself. Booked you there for a week. And then after that, we'll see how we can create a permanent solution for you. Do you have any money? You know, I said, no, boss, I don't. And he pulls out 20,000 and just throws it on the table. He says, oh, that's for you, just pocket money. You're one of our artists. You can't be struggling. You know what I mean? And I'm sitting there thinking, man.
What year was that?
2001. That's back then. 2000, 20,000 was a lot of money, man. You know, and next minute I'm sitting there thinking, a few hours ago, I was homeless. No visa, no money, working for 3 hours. Within a day of sweat and hustling and trusting God, I now have a record deal, one of the best labels. I'm the brand ambassador for Lee Jean, South Africa. You know, I have a record contract. I'm staying in the Holiday Inn. I have 20,000 to spend, and I have a white driver driving me in South Africa. It's what God can do, but you gotta fight for what God says is already yours. You know, think about this, you know. God tells the children of Israel, I'm sending you to the promised land. I've given you a land full of milk and honey. And they get to the banks of the river Jordan. He says, now it's time for you to pick up your swords and everything and go in and fight for the land that I have already given you. And you're sitting there thinking, so you brought us all the way here and you told us that's our land full of milk and honey that you have given to us, but we've got to fight for it. Every new artist, you got to fight for what you believe is yours. Find your own opportunity. Create your own opportunity. Carve out your own opportunity. It's actually a lot easier for the guys now because they've got social media and they can build their own brands and become big. We had no social media back in the days. Everything was just emailed. Cell phones were a luxury back in the day, you know. So you literally needed the labels to bring you out, put budget behind you. And today, while it's a lot bit easier, you have people that feel entitled. It's actually quite shocking because in our time, you know, the privileges that people have now, where they can go on Facebook and have 10 million followers and blow up, that opportunity was never given to us. So it's a lot easier for the guys here, but you got to fight for what's already yours. Nobody owes you anything.
Are we taking it for granted that we have all these access that you're saying, that you feel like it's a privilege now?
I think so. I think so. We never had that.
Because it's easy.
So, we never had that.
Send me a song on an email or WhatsApp. I will receive it and I will tell you saying I'm playing the song right now. You can even be able to listen to Joy FM.
That's right.
Even when you're not in Zambia.
Yes, it wasn't the case. Back in the days, even your CD or your tape would not be sold in any of the music outlets unless you were signed to a major label. So they'll tell you very clearly, we can't sell it. Let your label and your distributor bring it to us. Then we'll do that. You couldn't go to a radio station back there and say, oh, play my record. They'll tell you, no. Let your A&R from your record company deliver it to our compiler. Then our compiler, it was always a process. And I always feel that maybe that's the reason why a lot of quality music used to come out then. Because there was quality control. People came from labels. So there were labels investing in artists. So the product that was coming out was not somebody sitting in their little bedroom on their little piano and not doing this. And next minute it's like, oh, I have a record. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot harder, I think, for you guys as DJs. Yes, you have a pool of music, but then you yourselves, you know, you posted something where you're talking about people investing in songwriters. You would never have that conversation had it been back then. Because the record companies used to do all of that job.
People got offended when I posted what I posted.
But it made a lot of sense.
I want us to talk about that, but before that, I also want to find out, you brought out an issue of record labels back then.
Yes.
Being the ones who submit music to stations.
Yes.
The situation now in our country, Zambia, is different. Mostly, if we were to say 70–60% of artists are complaining, saying, I wish I didn't sign. I wish I was not signed to these record labels. And when all these record labels came in, everybody was excited about it because they were super excited knowing the fact that they won't spend a coin on anything. So I'm asking you this question is because you got a record deal in 2001, 2000 somewhere.
Yeah. Still I'm under a major label.
Still you are under the same record label. Let's talk about that. Are there any disadvantages that you saw back then that maybe we are listening to the new artists who are signed to the current labels are complaining about?
I would actually give more of give more of a pass for any artist back then than now, because there's so much information out there. As an artist, it's our job to educate ourselves. You know, you don't even need to go to college for that. You just need to go to Google University You know what I'm saying? Go to YouTube University. There's CEOs and record companies and webinars that you can attend where, whether it's Jay-Z, whether it's Kanye West, whether it's CEOs like, Siemens and all of these people coming on their Didi, I think runs like a Bad Boy, publishing and whatever camp where you can pay, go there and be part of the webinar and attend and actually graduate from there, understand what publishing is, what royalties are, there's so much information out there, but information is there for you to consume, not to just watch and feel pretty. So when you hear there's a record company that's coming, and then you start crying foul, are you not the same person that signed? Did you actually read the document? Did you take that document to a lawyer to say, thank you for this deal, let me take it to a lawyer to go and read? You signed for it. So if you gave your life away by signing a 360 deal where you walk out with nothing, you made the bed. So
in your situation, did you read the contract when you were given a contract to sign?
Yes, I did.
For Sony?
Oh, yes, I did. Yes, I did.
You had enough time when the boss was there?
Well, I looked at the critical parts. Okay. The splits. I looked at the splits. I looked at the implications of what the advance meant. And I asked a few questions. So this advance that you've given me, is it going to be taken out from the royalties? Is it going to be taken out? The Bible says, my people perish for lack of knowledge. So, so it's not that God is not good. God is good, and he has given us the opportunity to have knowledge. And the reality is that you've got to be read. And back in then, yes, you had people, for example, who couldn't read properly. Some of them were desperate. They could be pushed left, right, and center. But today, the information is everywhere. You go online, they'll tell you what a sync deal is, what publishing is. They'll tell you what royalties, what mechanical rights are. And as you study and you make yourself a student of your... Have you ever seen... Let me ask you a question, man. If you go to a hospital and if you're not well, and I tell you that I'm a doctor, but I haven't gone to school and I haven't read on medicine, but I can be able to cure you, are you going to trust me? No. No, you go to the guy who's read. Yes. So it's your job as an artist to read. It's your craft. It's your career. Nobody can fight for you the way you can fight for you. So you gotta be read up. You can't just go in blindly and just say, oh, Manisaina, and this thing of always thinking like, oh, because I'm signed, then it makes me more special. There's a lot of independent artists who are making money out there. So when you go in there, know what it is that you're signing. Are you paying for your own albums? If somebody pays for your album, people don't actually understand that music has one law. Whoever pays for the album owns the album. That's the rule. I pay for your album, it's my album. It's my money. So you are at my mercy. We have artists today who the record companies paid for the album, and now you're begging, after the person dies, the estate is begging the label to release the greatest hits because the label owns the license to that stuff. You see? So that is why artists have to empower themselves. Pay for your own masters. Own your own masters. Then go to the record companies and negotiate on your terms. Hey, here's a product. Boom. It's already paid for. So what can you do for me? Now that's a proper partnership. But if I pay for your album, where's the partnership? You see what I'm saying? So there's got to be a sense that we are reading. There's got to be a sense that we understand the deals that we're signing. Because some of these deals are slave deals. Where you sign and then all of a sudden you realize you've signed your life away. You got to be smart. It's your life. Ignorance is no longer an excuse in this generation, man. Go there, and this same thing of thinking, oh, we're the young guys, we're the new school, we're the young generation. We don't need the old guys, to whatever. No, man, humble yourself. Get down to the old guards and say, oh, you know what? I've got this deal from some guy. Can you just go through it for me? What do you think are the places that I need to really look at? Life is about understanding that the older people pave the way for the younger generation. As much as you've got the fire and you've got the heat, there's a lot of wisdom behind you. I still sit with people and consult and ask and whatever, and have teams. Get a lawyer. Go pay somebody, invest. Spend 1,000 kwacha. Mr. Lawyer, I don't have a lot. Here's 2,000 kwacha. Just have a read through. Let me know what sticking points I need to look out for. Get yourself a mentor. Find somebody who's in the music industry. If Zambia is not the place, find some South African guy. Find some whatever. I remember when I was working on this new deal right now. I got this deal now. I sent it to one of my friends in the UK. I sent it to one of my other guys in the US. I sent it to my publisher as well in South Africa. Then I also sent it to my good friend Eugene Tetra from the legendary group Trompies. Yeah. And he went in there, whether it's a managerial deal, whether it's a licensing, and the guys give me all their opinion, and then I make up my decision from a wealth of wisdom. It's extremely important.
Wow.
You know?
Let's get a move on. Fast forward. South Africa. Now we're talking about Australia.
Yes.
How you found yourself in Australia?
Oh man. It's interesting. Australia was not the country that I thought I was going to settle in.
Okay.
My dream was obviously to be in the US. You know, but God obviously had other plans. And I think that more so because, you know, I have a calling on my life to minister the gospel. So I'm not just an artist as well, I'm a pastor as well. So I preach, I travel around the world, I speak in conferences, seminars, I do revivals, you know, and I think God knew that the only way that would grow was to take me into a place like Australia, where the style of the music that I was doing at the time was not celebrated. So I do remember getting my whole family from here, and we moved to Australia, and I arrived in Australia, and the first thing I get was a job as a pastor in a church, you know, and you get also to a place where most of your musical accomplishments. Australia is very much rock and pop culture. Now it's changed a bit with the emergence of Afrobeat and all these other sounds, but back then it was very rock and pop. And I remember one of the first few people I met there was Uncle Larry Maluma. You know, we're in the same city there, you know, sitting with him, and he's coaching me and letting me know about the music industry down there and how, you know, it was different. It was not like South Africa. The industry in South Africa is much bigger than the Australian one, even though the Australian one is a lot more impactful in a global sense, because of the economic power, you know, strength of the economy there. The country is economically strong. So got there, but focused more on ministry, you know, for quite some time. God had me get into a hiatus where the music was not making sense. The only times I would get out to do music was when I get an invitation to travel overseas. So I began focusing on growing, and growing in my faith, in my walk with God. And that was important for me because, you know, sometimes we think we are only gifted in one thing. And sometimes we think our destiny is just based on the one thing. But sometimes God takes you into a place where he dries out something for a season, just to be able to bring out the beauty that's on the inside of you that could only come out when this thing is quenched. You know what I'm saying? So, or quelled down. So God did that, and I began to grow in my own walk, in my own faith, in my own calling, in my own gifting. I became a prominent minister. You know, people knew me as a pastor, to an extent that by the time I was coming out with music, people say, Pastor Harold sings as well? You know, like people are surprised. You know what I mean? So that helped grow. And that now has ended up working really well for me, because not only do I sing, but I also preach. So now I get a lot of big invitations in the UK, in the US, all over the world to come preach and sing. You know, so I always say I'm one of the most ripped off artists in the world, because I get invited for conferences that have me preach and sing and still give me one paycheck. So, you know, when they could actually book an artist and a preacher and still, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's a great thing. Look, I mean, that was just a joke, but it was a good thing because it helped me discover who I am. It helped me have some growth. It helped me stabilize. And, you know, being an artist, the life of an artist can be a little bit unstable, you know, and God sometimes just means pump the brakes, stabilize, find yourself, so that now you're coming out with a bit of authenticity of who you really are. So yes, Australia has been an amazing journey. It's been an amazing journey, and it's great now to be able to come out of there and tour the world. It makes it a lot easier, makes it much more stronger. Our music is accepted there now. You know, you can do a lot of big things. I'm heading down there for a tour with Dr. Tumi, where we're doing, you know, Melbourne, Perth, Sydney, Brisbane, and Auckland, New Zealand. You know what I mean? So it's a great place, and God has been good in this journey. Yeah.
Getting back to something that we also spoke about on radio when we were having a conversation. I want to get to find out issues to do with streaming platforms.
Yes.
Spotify. Zambia of Boomplay, Vesesani,
yes.
Other things that's ongoing right there. As an artist, not as a pastor, and also as an artist who's also signed.
That's right.
And one of the biggest record label that doesn't even need an introduction. Is there anything that you feel like, because we all know our local artists are putting in music where they feel like it's accessible, but less income, or some are not even making money out of it.
That's right.
Do you feel like they don't have enough knowledge to know, saying there are also other platforms that are offering more good services than others?
I think that sometimes people know, but it's just everybody just wants something quick, man. You know, one of the things I asked you is, you know, earlier, is, are artists making money? And where are the artists making money? And I think it looks like with Zambia, it's live shows. So many people are saying, if my song comes out and I pop quickly, then I'll make money live shows. So while that looks like it's great, it's only great for the interim. if you look at the long game is staying consistent on your major streaming platform. Boomplay has been a great blessing in Zambia. I think it's been able to make artists popular and popping, but it doesn't pay as well as Spotify. It doesn't pay as well as Apple Music or Tidal or Pandora or any of these other sort of major streaming sites where you really know you're gonna make some serious money. You know what I mean? So so you have to think of the long game. You know, if you're thinking of the long game, you're better off making less money now, but then consistently less money over the next 5-10 years. That will keep you, than have a quick record now and within 2 months nobody remembers that record, and you eat off that record for 6 months, and then all of a sudden there's nothing after that. So that I think is the major issue. Is I think as artists we need to educate ourselves and begin to realize what platforms actually really make sense and make money. One artist that I know in Zambia that is very educated, and I shout out to my boy Roberto. You know what I'm saying? You know, Roberto, you know, he has his arm on the long game. You know, he understands, he educates himself, he makes very good business decisions, you know, with his distributions, with his streaming, with his you know, I love the thought process around his team and what they do. So from that aspect, you know, that's one artist. You know, his Spotify numbers are great, his Apple Music numbers are great. Boomplay will always be great, you know, because not many people are on the premium package of Boomplay, so it will not pay you as much. It will make you popular, but you need to also get yourself on platforms that really make sense. You know, making 100 kwacha, you know, in 1 week is not as good as making 5 kwacha every day for the next 12 months, or for the next 34 months or 72 months or whatever the case might be. So I think one needs to have a pulse on that. And also I think also there has to be a sense where there's a sensitization among our people as consumers, because I think that many of them have become a bit entitled to free music. You know what I mean? Like, you know, where am I streaming your song from? Where is the free download? Where is that stuff has to die, because that stuff kills the industry. You know what I mean? There has to be a sense that people begin to understand that, you know, the industry itself, you know, is sustained by money. It's sustained by fans actually supporting. Supporting is not just, you know, putting your song on on YouTube or putting on. It's actually buying, putting value on it to buy, you know. But I guess at the same time as well, it starts with the artist. If they are willing to give out free music, you know, what can you do?
Would you rather have a big song, a song that's trending, a song that is being played everywhere, or have a song that is maybe has more streams and make more money?
Now,
if I was to ask this question to some local artists right now, the biggest agenda that they're trying to push is to have a popular song.
Well, I don't care about a popping song that doesn't pay me. You know what I'm saying? But this is a job, you know. And we don't eat men's applauses. We don't eat trends. We don't eat clapping. We don't eat, you know. Zambia is not really a market where, even when you talk about endorsement deals, they're not major endorsement deals that will really keep you. And how many people, I mean, Trade Kings have endorsed Sheffy. How many other artists can they endorse? How many artists are in this industry? You know what I'm saying? How many industries or how many corporates are actually willing to spend that money to whatever? Maybe 10, 12 artists. We got thousands of artists in this industry. The reality is that you are better off having a song that's consistently growing, is putting money in. This is a career. This is not a hobby. This is something that we use to sustain our families and feed our kids. And the mindset of, oh, as long as I'm known and people clap for me, you know, that's shallow, man. You know what I'm saying? So we need to make sure that we are, you know, I would rather personally have a song that is, you know, doing very well on streams. It can sustain my family. Even when I'm gone, my estate and my children are taken care of because the song is there. I remember there's the story that I read about. I'm very good friends with Julian Marley, Bob Marley's son. You know, there's a project that we were working on for World Hunger that I'm doing with Marleys, and you know, we're getting the Maxi priests and whatever. It's more, you know, raising awareness for world hunger and stuff like that. And I'm good friends with Julian. And one of the things that, you know, he shared was a story on his dad. There was a guy that was his cook, like his chef, who used to cook for him. The guy used to live Mukomboni, like in a township or something, you know. And as Bob was about to die, you know, he said to this guy, "You've been so good to me. You made me all the meals that I wanted. I'm gonna give you half the rights to No Woman, No Cry." You know, just half, you know, to you. Till this day, that chef and his children and his family and his family's families are still living off half the royalties of No Woman, No Cry. So it's a business. This is not, well, it's not a hobby. You know what I'm saying? So if half the rights of one song can move you from the compounds and take you among the elites, and your family can still, that's what music is all about. It's about building a legacy.
I feel like these are conversations that we need to have more often, because I feel like we are, you know, when you talk about a hobby, I remember Drimz. I don't know if you know him.
I think I've seen on social media this guy called Drimz, an artist or something. Yes.
Posted something on social media which a lot of people, I don't know if they got it wrong or misunderstood, but he wrote something saying some people get offended when you go to a place and they ask you, what do you do? I'm an artist.
Yeah.
What else do you do? It goes with another question.
Yes, like
it goes with another question.
You're playing around.
Someone asks me, "What do you do?" I'm a TV personality.
And it's like,
okay. Are you also doing maybe other? You know, where there are other major type of job where people will just regard saying this is a job.
But why do you think that impression is there though? Because we have created that about ourselves. You see, people cannot belittle you without your permission. You gotta understand that we sometimes have done this to ourselves because probably maybe the industry itself, we've created a scenario where we need to understand that what we do carries a lot of weight, and sometimes how it's perceived is maybe because of how maybe some people within the industry have carried themselves. We need to kind of watch ourselves, because people treat you as a joke because maybe we're not adding a lot of value to it. It's interesting, you said you're a TV personality, but chances are, if Maureen Kandu came today and she said she's a TV personality and she's BBC, nobody's going to look at her and say, oh, so what else do you do? So we need to start asking ourselves the questions. That's number one. And then secondly also is we need to get to a place where we ourselves begin to add value to what we do, and begin people to see that this is something that is not a pastime. You know, I remember this very well. I'll give you a practical example. One time I was booked for an event. I was supposed to do an event in Namibia years ago, and I was booked for an event, and it's a while back. So they asked me, to have you at the event, how much would it cost? I'm talking about a long time. I said, I'll have 5,000 kwacha. That was 15 years ago. It's a lot of money then. I said, I'll have 5,000 kwacha. They said, okay, no problem. Confirmed everything, and then they told me, cancel your Namibia gig. So I canceled the Namibia gig because I already got booked for this one here, and it was a Christmas event. I said, it's cool. I'm doing a Christmas event. Why would I be going to Namibia anyway? I can spend time with family down here. And over Christmas, because nobody wants to travel during Christmas. So I was happy to be able to do the gig. And then 4 days before the event, they called me. They said, would you be happy to take 600 kwacha? I said, no. We already agreed on 5,000. And they said, no, sorry, because there's 2 gospel groups that have come in and they're happy to do the event for 600 kwacha each. So if you can take at least 600 kwacha or even 1,000 kwacha. So I just said, no, it's okay. I'm not going to do it. And I said, didn't you explain to these groups that you're... He says, yeah, we explained to them, but they just said, no, it's okay. Then they're happy to take 600 kwacha. So now here is somebody who's a promoter for an event. And he's already having people in the industry behaving like that. How are they going to respect us? You tell me. Somebody's happy to take 600 kwacha. When this promoter was ready to offer 5,000, you're a joke. People look at you and say, you're just a joke. So the industry itself has to get to a place where the first place, a point of respect and honor for the industry has to come from the artists themselves. How you carry yourself, how you present yourself, and the value that you put on yourselves. Then from there, people will respect that, because people can never belittle you without your permission. You know?
People in diaspora, you're one of them. Back home in Zambia, it's another conversation I've had with quite a number of people who are Zambians and now in diaspora right there. Do you guys have an agenda that you're trying to build in your own country? And also, what would you like your own people to do? Because someone was complaining about it, saying, for as long as, for example, I'm not in Zambia, but I was born in Zambia. I'm not getting enough support that I'm supposed to get from my own people. But I'm getting enough support in another place where I am. Right there. You as Herod, you have been in Zambia, born and bred from Zambia.
Yes, sir.
You were back home. People are watching this right now, they'll be like, Stimu Zima, who is this? You get that consensus. What would you like to be done?
No, I just think that Zambia needs to, our people as well, to just broaden their mind and understand that, you know, Zambia cannot be removed from Zambia only. You know what I'm saying? So there's Zambians out there in other parts of the world who are flying the flag of Zambia. You know, Sampa the Great was in Australia for many years. You know, Larry Maluma was there, you know. And it's weird because we say this, but the weird thing is that, you know, this was never an issue in the early 80s. You know, Ricky Dilonga was in Denmark. You know, Spooky Mulema was overseas. But yet they were celebrated here. So something has shifted in the way we perceive things. You know what I mean? Because there was a time when half the musicians who were trending in Zambia, Ana Mwale, they were all in Germany. You know what I'm saying? So whatever changed, it's not that the artists or the staff changed. What changed is, you know, is it the way we define what being Zambian is? I think we're having that conversation on radio. Yes. What does it mean to be Zambian? You know what I'm saying? And how do you fly the flag of Zambia? You know what I'm saying? We have other countries, your South Africans will make you go platinum, your whatever will make you. So I don't know what it takes, but the reality is that, you know, we're out here, you know, representing the country. We're here, we're reintroducing the brand. You know, maybe we need to make an extra effort, maybe as people in the diaspora, to come back a little bit more, because those guys, I think, then used to come a lot more and do shows here, you know, a little bit more. But also, again, there's this thing where there's a bit of, for lack of a better term, there's a bit of, what is Zambian music?
Yeah.
You know, because that's a dilemma sometimes, because, you know, I think I spoke about a prophet is without honor in his own country. You know what I'm saying? You know, you have the artists who are doing extremely well from Zambia. The ones that do well overseas don't seem to do well as well locally. Yeah. So I just don't know what do we consider Zambian music? I think that's probably maybe a conversation that must be had, because, you know, and what does it mean to fly the flag of Zambia? You know, does it mean that I need to do Bustere music? You know, must I sing in Bemba or in Tonga in order for me to be considered Zambian music? Can't I be Zambian and still sing songs in English and still fly the Zambian flag as an international artist? You know, so maybe that's a question that we all as Zambians need to look into the mirror and say to ourselves, maybe have we become a little bit more divisive in that sense by creating of, unless you Zambian. You know, but the reality is that there's many ways of flying the Zambian flag out there, and I've noticed that even the artists that tend to really break out there will tend to have a sound that's a little bit more international inclined. They'll have a few Zambian words in there, but most of the stuff will be in English as well. You know what I mean? So, you know, because maybe our sound hasn't yet reached the stage where it's broken internationally. So it's an interesting conversation to have. But, you know, we're here. We love our country. You know, we're Zambians. We're representing in the diaspora. We've got people that love us here. But we want to introduce ourselves to people to understand that, you know, being Zambian does not necessarily mean that unless I sing in Nyanja, then that's when. So it's a tough one now.
My last question is Zambian music penetrating out there?
No.
I know this is like one of the common questions, but I want to find out from you.
I mean, the honest
opinion.
Yeah, the honest truth is Zambian music has made a lot of strides. It's made a lot of headway, you know, but we can't name 5, 10 people that are making it. We can name 2, 3, you know what I'm saying? Maybe Sampa the Great, you can say, yeah, Shefi here and there, Roberto here and there. And, but even Sampa the Great, I think, even for her, I mean, people still debate whether is that Zambian music, is that, you know, so it's a weird conversation, you know. I think that sometimes we're the only people that love ourselves and shoot ourselves in the leg at the same time. You know what I'm saying? Wow, South Africa will celebrate Jonathan Butler, who's doing albums, falling in love with Jesus, and is going platinum, you know, and does not have a Zulu song per se on a project, and the project will still go platinum. So, you know, they'll have a Gloria Bossman, My African Dream. So the reality is that, you know, we need to get to a place and understand to say being Zambian is not necessarily an issue of language. Being Zambian is an issue of belonging, association. This is where I come from. These are my roots. This is who I am. I'm Zambian. Yes, I'm doing R&B. Yes, I'm doing urban gospel. Yes, I'm doing this, but I'm Zambian. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it's a little bit like saying, oh, because, you know, unakulira kwa America, but you're best footballer, so ungabora mchina wa Zambia, because unakulire kukawata, you know, something like that. You know what I mean? So, you know, so that I think has to be a narrative that has to change, you know, to be able to coming together to represent our country on all facets. You know what I'm saying? So I think that is something that is a conversation that needs to be had. But Zambian music itself is yet to really make that large impact. I was having breakfast with DJ Sbu from South Africa, who's a good friend, and I was saying, look, I'm heading to Zambia. I'm going to go on tour, and the first thing he says, oh, Zambia. Who are the artists down there? Like, you're talking about one of the biggest celebrity DJs in South Africa, and he's still asking me, who are the artists out there? You know what I'm saying? So we still have a way to go. We still have a way to go in a sense of penetrating the markets. There are artists that, 3, 4 something that will blow up from here. Even in gospel, maybe you'll have, others who are, scratching the surface. But we do need this sound. I think Zambia has such great potential. It's got such beautiful music that the world needs to hear. And but for now, we are yet to really scratch the surface.
The next conversation that we're going to be having when you come through in Zambia, there's a press briefing that we had, and we spoke about a few things, and I feel like what's lacking in Zambia, this is my personal opinion, are meetings amongst artists, radio personalities, TV personalities, promoters, coming together, having such conversations about things. I feel like it's going to also add up somewhere.
Interesting enough, there's a Facebook group that gospel artists formed, and they asked me to come on, and they asked me questions, and the only thing I kept saying was unity, 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 unity. The Bible says where there's unity, God commands a blessing. You know what I'm saying? And I don't feel that gospel artists or mainstream artists, I don't feel Zambians support each other enough. You see artists even begging to get, recognition, begging, or post me, begging, or you don't even have to do that. Like, for example, in South Africa, you drop a single. Before I even know about it, Dr. Tumi's posted it. Benjamin Dube is posted it. Togozo is posted it. You don't ask. It's just culture. Everybody knows that, oh, you're doing an event, we're there. We're doing it, oh, we're there. We're doing so, but you don't see that here. You find other artists overcharging the other artists, and so we need to really, really break that barrier. You know what I'm saying? There's, people need to understand that when we are united and we have good product, we are working together, songwriters working together, publishers working together, record labels working together, DJs, personalities working together, media people working together. There's enough bread for everybody out there, man. There's so much bread. God commands a blessing. It's not about you. It's about winning together. My manager always used to say this, says, Harold, we're working hard now. We're plowing in now because I know when the sun shines, it will shine on all of us. So this sun doesn't shine on one person and doesn't shine on all of us. We need to understand to say, man, when it was dark, you were here with me. Come, let's eat together. There's enough bread for everybody. But we got to be united first, man.
It was great having a conversation with you. Thank you very much for coming.
Appreciate it, my guy.
So much to learn about. Before you even know it, we have had this conversation for an hour.
Oh, wow. Man, time just flies.
We have to call it a wrap on Yatu Vibes. It was great having Harold right here on Prime TV. Yatu Vibes, great looking out to the entire team. Eish, man. We still need to have you for the second edition when you come back to the country.
It, man. I'll be glad to be here.
Maybe in a minute, your quick remarks to the viewers. Yes. So we're ending with you right now.
Hey, man, thank you so much again. My album is out. My new single with Dr. Tumi from South Africa is out. So get out there on YouTube, Harold Chala. Hit me on Instagram as well, Harold Chala Official. I take questions. We can sit. If you need any conversation, we can chop it up. I'm still around, Harold Chala Official on Facebook. But more so, I'm doing these shows on Saturday. I've had a passion ever since COVID came for revival. I just feel that we lost so much during COVID, man. People lost loved ones, people lost jobs, finances, marriages just dissipated. Crazy things happened, but God is still good. In the midst of it all, God remains the only constant good and never lose hope. So, and God spoke to me to come down and do these free college and university revival tours. No charging, no taking up of offerings, no donations, just as artists going out there to give back to the community. You know what I'm saying? So we are at University of Zambia this Saturday from 18 hours to 20 hours. Free show. Come out there at the University of Zambia Chapel, and we just want to go there and bless you. I'll be there with, and also we are at Zikas from 14 hours to 16 hours this same Saturday. Free shows, man. I got Chungu coming out as well to support. Taitu is going to be there. You know, I want to hear your story and testimony. Mark 44 will be there as well. Temwani will be there. Solomon Plate is also going to be there. And we're just going to go out there and just bless people, man, and just come out. Let's just have a wonderful time in the presence of God, you know, just free of charge, just us giving out of what God has given us to be a blessing to you guys. You've been a great support, but I just want to go there and just remind you again as you come for these shows that God loves you, God cares for you, and your future is better than your present. And looking forward to seeing you there. So get out on YouTube and stream Revive featuring Dr. Tumi. It's out now. You know, yeah, man. Very excited.